With us here on set as ever, and lots of big international stories this morning, awful lot of them, but the French papers, they're not interested in anything. They're much more interested in domestic politics, aren't they?
Yes, it's still all about that socialist race to be the candidate for the French primary, for the French presidential election, rather. So no Gilad Shalit, no assassination plots, no Euro news in today's French papers. It's all about the socialists. So Libération here have got a lovely pink cover to celebrate that. They've got the socialists versus the socialists, and inside they've got 8 pages profiling François Hollande and Martine Aubry. Wow. Yes, I know. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you about all of it. I haven't read it all myself. But of course, it's because they're going off head-to-head this evening in a televised debate. But the paper says that really, despite those 8 pages of analysis, there aren't that many policy differences between them. It's more about style. So the 2 candidates have both said they won't use the opportunity to attack one another because, of course, after that vote on Sunday, which will choose one of them to be presidential candidate, the loser will have to swallow their pride pretty quickly because they need to present a united front to take on Sarkozy. But nevertheless, the paper does point out that it's well known they can't stand each other. So we'll wait and see if they tear a few strips off of each other later.
I'll read the 8 pages on the metro on the way home. Le Figaro, meanwhile, they're kind of seizing an opportunity for the right to seize back the initiative.
Yes, the UMP has been on the back foot rather since the first round of the socialist primary vote on Sunday because so many more people participated in it than they expected. But they are, of course, now hoping that they will tear each other apart, Martine Aubry and François Hollande, and as a result present a divided front to take on Nicolas Sarkozy. So Le Figaro, the right-wing paper, has got Aubry and Hollande knives out as a front headline. They say that Sarkozy himself talked about the primary for the first time in a speech yesterday, saying that the breakthrough of Arnaud Montebourg, who we were talking about yesterday, the third man in that campaign, who got 17% of votes last Sunday. Sarkozy made a speech yesterday about how that means both of the main candidates will be pushed to the left. He's obviously hoping that that tactic will scare off centrist voters.
You've also pulled out a story which I must confess I know nothing about. It's a general strike called on a tiny Pacific island that belongs to France.
Yes, this is from the French news website Rue 89, and it's one of these things that foreigners often forget about France, the kind of colonialist hangover a little bit, that we forget there's a number of Caribbean and Pacific islands that are still part of France. And this is about an island called Mayotte, which has been ruled by France since 1841, but has actually only been an official French département since 6 months ago. So that means the people there theoretically have rights to all of the same welfare benefits that French people living in France have. It doesn't quite work like that, though. Their minimum wage has been put up to 85% of the one in metropolitan France, but they still don't get unemployment benefit or anywhere near as much child benefit as you do here. And they say that's not fair. They've been on strike for the last 3 weeks and they're demonstrating against the cost of living, which they say is very high in Mayotte, which is a little speck of an island near Madagascar. But of course, now that it is officially part of France, the government in Paris needs to do something to sort out this ongoing general strike.
There you go. You see, you learn something new every day here on France 24. Another story you might not know that much about, the prosecution of journalists in Turkey.
Yes, this is in Libération. They're profiling some of 58 journalists in Turkey who've been jailed for supposedly being part of an ultra-nationalist coup plot, which is called Ergenekon, which apparently brought together some right-wing generals and senior civil servants who are supposedly plotting to take down Recep Erdogan's Islamist-influenced government in the name of secularism and nationalism. Now, those journalists in jail, the paper says, have very different political views and worked for very different papers. Some of them back Erdogan's pro-European stance. Others are much more anti and believe that actually the army should take over. But one thing they do all have in common is that they've all written things against the Prime Minister. And the Libération says there's no evidence any of them were involved in a coup plot. It just shows that it seems to be dangerous to criticise the government in Turkey nowadays.
And finally, Elaine, I'm not sure about this one. She's pulled out a rubbish story. Couldn't help it.
Well, it's an easy joke, isn't it? Now, this is about the Val-de-Marne, which is in the Paris suburbs, where the mayor has banned people from rifling through bins. You now get fined €38 if you rifle through bins there, because apparently so many more people have been doing it in the last 6 months. Now, anti-poverty campaigners are upset about this because they say that that obviously means that more people are food insecure, but you won't really help by fining them for digging through bins for other people's leftovers.
OK, there's definitely a problem here in Paris, has to be said. All right, thank you very much. That's Elena here with the French newspaper review here on France 24. Headlines then, almost free, a deal